Hi guys, welcome back to the Curly Reader. So today I thought I'd share with you a list of books that I would like to read out loud to my kids. I've recently started reading out loud to them every night. We collectively sit in the living room together and I read out loud to my 9, 7, and 5-year-old one or two chapters out of a book every night, and we've really been enjoying it. And so I've put together a list of books that I would like to read out loud to them in the upcoming year or so. So let's dive in and go ahead and get started. So before I start sharing with you the books that I would like to read with them, I figured I'd go ahead and mention that right now I am reading with them George's Marvelous Medicine by Roald Dahl. This is a very, very short book. It'll probably only take us like 2 more nights to get through it. They're loving this so far. And so this is a fun little story about George, who is tasked with giving his horrible grandmother her medicine, and he decides he's going to make his own medicine to give to her. And it's just fun. It's funny. It's Roald Dahl. The kids are really enjoying it. And so, like I said, it'll probably take us a couple more nights to get through it, and then we'll be done. All right. So starting, I have, I think, like 10 books to share with you today. On this list, though, is another Roald Dahl book, and that is The BFG. I remember my 5th grade teacher in school reading Matilda to our class in school, and I never read The BFG. I still have not read The BFG, and so I thought that this would be a really fun book to read with the kids. This is just about a big giant. He's far too nice and jumbly, and a little girl, Sophie, who meets him, and they kind of go off on an adventure. And so I'm excited to get to this one with my kids. The next book that I wanted to mention is The Incorrigible Children of Ashton Place, The Mysterious Howling by Mary Rose Wood. And this is one that I had first heard about on Instagram, and I don't remember who I heard about it from, but somebody wrote a review during middle grade March about this, and it immediately sounded like something that my kids would really like. It is about a governess who's just graduated from her prepping school, and she goes to interview for a job for 3 children. And what she doesn't know is that the children were found in the woods on the ground surrounding the house that she's going to be at, and they were found in the woods and they were raised by wolves. And so they don't know how to behave correctly. They're constantly howling and yapping at each other. And so I started this one with my kids a few weeks ago, and they were having a hard time following it because it is written in a little bit of an older language. Older meaning not for older kids, but just because it's set in the time when you had governesses and estates and those sort of things. So they were having a hard time following it, but I would like to get back to it because I really think that if they took the time, they would really enjoy it. So yeah, there's that one. Next on my list is Beezus and Ramona by Beverly Cleary, but just some of the Ramona books by Beverly Cleary. My kids are all girls. I have 3 girls, and then my youngest is a boy, but he's usually in bed by the time reading time comes around. And so one of the Ramona books I would like to share with them. I remember reading these as a child. This is an older edition of one of the books, but they're just fun. They're about Beatrice or Beezus and Ramona. Ramona's the little sister. She's a pest. She's always getting in Beezus's way. Beezus is annoyed with her. Ramona thinks that Beezus is a pain and snotty and won't let her play with her. And so just sibling stuff. And so I thought that my kids would really think that this was funny. A couple of my kids have listened to some of the Ramona books on audiobook, but I'd like to read out loud to them. I think it'd be a fun family experience. All right, next on my list is Because of Winn-Dixie by Kate DiCamillo, and we recently got done reading The Tale of Despereaux by Kate DiCamillo, and we really enjoyed it, so I thought I would add Because of Winn-Dixie to my list. This is about, I believe, a little girl who moves and finds solace in her heartache from her move in a dog, possibly a stray dog. I don't know exactly. But we really liked Kate DiCamillo's book, and so we thought we'd give another one a whirl. So I added that to the list. I also have on my list, and this one I've heard mixed things about, so I don't know if I want to read this one to them or not, but I have it on my list, and that is Mary Poppins by P.L. Travers. This is just the classic Mary Poppins, but I know that the movie is not quite the same as the book, and in the book, Mary Poppins is quite mean to the kids, so I don't know if I should read this to them or not, but I'd love some input on that. If nothing else, I want to read it, but I thought that it would be just a fun little adventure story, so I have that one. All right, next, I have 2 E.B. White books, and that is Stuart Little and Charlotte's Web, both by E.B. White. Stuart Little is about a mouse who gets adopted into a human family, and Charlotte's Web is about Wilbur the pig and Charlotte the spider, and how Charlotte tries to save Wilbur from his fate as a pig. And so I just thought that these are classics my kids haven't read yet. Honestly, I don't think I've ever read either one of these either, even as a child, so I thought this would be something fun for me to share with my kids. And then after that, I have Pippi Longstocking, and this is by Astrid Lindgren. This is an illustrated edition that I recently found at a thrift store. I love this. I brought this out as a possibility to read with them, and one of my daughters said that her teacher has read this out loud to her in class, and so she's already read it, but I would still like to read it with my other kids anyway, and so I do have this on my list as well. Another classic about Pippi Longstocking who lives by herself with a horse in a house, and I think it will just be a lot of fun, and they'll get a lot of laughs out of this one for sure. So those are the books that are currently on my list to read out loud with my kids. Like I said, my kids are 9, 7, and 5. So if you have any recommendations of books that you think I should be reading with them, I would really love your input, especially on your thoughts on any of these books that I mentioned. And I hope that you enjoyed this. I hope that you maybe got inspired to read with your kids, or to read some of these middle grade books if you don't have kids. Just pick one up and read one. You never know what might become a new favorite of yours. So I hope that you enjoyed this. I hope that you stick around and subscribe. And until next time, see ya.